The phone rang at exactly 3:17 in the morning. Sarah Chun stared at the screen. Her sister's name glowed in the darkness. Emily never called this late. Something was wrong, Sarah answered. There was silence, then breathing. Heavy, uneven. Like someone trying not to cry. Emily, Sarah. Her sister's voice was a whisper. I need you to remember something. What's happening? Where are you? Just listen. The cabin. Dad's old cabin in Cascade Ridge. There's a box under the floorboards in the back bedroom. Third plank from the window. You need to find it. Sarah sat up in bed. Her heart pounded. Emily, you're scaring me. What box? What are you talking about? Promise me you'll go. Promise me you won't tell anyone. I promise. But the line went dead. Sarah called back immediately. It went straight to voicemail. She called again and again. Nothing. Emily Chun was 29 years old. She worked as a forensic accountant in Portland, Oregon. She lived alone in a small apartment downtown. She was careful, organized. She didn't disappear into the night without explanation. But that's exactly what happened. The next morning, Sarah drove to Emily's apartment. The landlord let her in. Everything looked normal. The bed was made. Dishes were clean in the rack. Emily's purse sat on the kitchen counter. Her wallet was inside. So was her ID and credit cards. Her car was parked in its usual spot outside. Sarah called the police. They took a report. Missing person, adult, no signs of struggle. They said they'd investigate. They said most adults come back on their own within 48 hours. Sarah didn't believe that. Not after that phone call. She remembered her father's cabin. He'd bought it 15 years ago, before it was 3 hours north, deep in the Cascade Mountains. The family had stopped going after his funeral. The place held too many memories. Emily had been the one who wanted to keep it. She paid the property taxes every year. She said it was important to hold on to it. Sarah had never understood why, until now. She made the drive the next afternoon. The roads became narrower as she climbed into the mountains. Pine trees pressed in from both sides. The cabin sat at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by forest. It looked abandoned. The windows were dark. Leaves covered the porch. Sarah used the spare key hidden under a rock by the door. Inside, the air was stale and cold. Dusk covered the furniture. It didn't look like anyone had been here in months. She walked to the back bedroom. It was small, a single bed frame with no mattress. A window looking out at the trees. The wooden floor was old and warped. Sarah knelt down and counted the floorboards from the window. 1, 2, 3. She pressed on the third plank. It lifted, easily. Someone had loosened it before. Underneath was a metal box, the kind used for documents. Fireproof. Sarah pulled it out and sat on the floor. Her hands shook as she opened the lid. Inside were papers. Bank statements, printed emails, photographs, and a flash drive. Sarah looked through the documents. They were financial records. Transactions. Money moving between accounts. Large amounts. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. The names on the accounts meant nothing to her at first. Then she saw one she recognized. Marcus Holt. He was a prominent businessman in Portland, real estate developer. Philanthropist. His face was on billboards around the city. Emily had mentioned him once. She said his company was one of her clients. Sarah kept reading. The emails were between Emily and someone named Jay. They talked about discrepancies. Missing funds, offshore accounts. Emily had found something she wasn't supposed to find. The last email was dated 2 weeks ago. They know I have copies. I need to disappear for a while. If anything happens to me, everything is in the box. Sarah's blood went cold. She plugged the flash drive into her laptop. It contained more files, spreadsheets, audio recordings, evidence of fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, millions of dollars. And Marcus Holt was at the center of it all. The audio files were the most disturbing. Recorded phone conversations. Emily had been documenting everything for weeks. In one recording, a man threatened her directly. He told her to stop digging. He told her that people who asked too many questions had a way of disappearing. Emily's voice in the recording was steady, professional. She told him she was just doing her job, but Sarah could hear the fear underneath. There were photographs too, surveillance images. Emily had been watching someone. A warehouse near the docks, men loading trucks, late at night. Timestamps showed the photos were taken over several nights. Emily had been investigating alone, building a case by herself. Sarah realized her sister had been living in danger for weeks, maybe months, and she'd never said a word. Emily had discovered the truth. She'd collected proof, and now she was gone. Sarah's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. You found it. A man's voice, calm, cold. Who is this? Your sister made a mistake. She thought she could expose us. She thought she was protected. She was wrong. Where is Emily? What did you do to her? She's safe. For now, as long as that evidence stays hidden, as long as you stay quiet. I'm going to the police. I'm going to show them everything. The man laughed. It was a hollow sound. The police can't help you. We have people everywhere. Judges, lawyers, investigators. Do you really think your sister would still be alive if the authorities could protect her? Sarah felt sick. What do you want? Destroy everything in that box. The files, the recordings, all of it. Do that, and your sister comes home. Refuse, and you'll never see her again. You have 24 hours. The line went dead. Sarah sat in the empty cabin, surrounded by evidence of crimes she barely understood. Her sister was being held somewhere by people powerful enough to make her vanish. She could destroy the evidence and hope they kept their word, or she could risk Emily's life and fight back. She thought about her father. He'd taught them both to stand up for what was right. He'd taught them that silence in the face of evil was its own kind of betrayal. But he'd never had to choose between justice and family. Sarah made copies of everything. She uploaded the files to a secure cloud account. She sent encrypted emails to 3 journalists she found online. Major newspapers, investigative reporters who'd broken corruption cases before. She included instructions. If she didn't check in every 12 hours, they were to publish everything. She also made a backup plan. She drove to a FedEx store in the nearest town. She printed copies of the most damaging documents. She put them in 3 separate packages addressed to different law firms. She paid for delayed delivery. If she didn't cancel the shipments in 5 days, they would arrive automatically. Then she called the one person she thought might help. FBI. Financial Crimes Division. A woman answered, Agent Rebecca Therese. Sarah explained everything. The phone call, the cabin, the evidence, the threat against her sister. Agent Torres didn't hesitate. Stay where you are. Don't touch anything else. We're sending a team now. Sarah waited in the cabin as the sun set. She didn't know if she'd made the right choice. She didn't know if Emily would forgive her. But she knew she couldn't let the people who took her sister win. 2 hours later, federal agents arrived. They secured the cabin. They took the evidence. They promised protection. They said they'd find Emily. Sarah wanted to believe them. 3 days passed. No word from Emily. No word from her captors. Sarah stayed in a safe house with armed guards outside. She barely slept. Every phone call made her jump. Every noise in the hallway sent her heart racing. Agent Torres visited daily with updates. The investigation was moving fast. They'd traced the financial transactions. They'd identified shell companies. They'd connected Marcus Holt to a network of corrupt officials. City council members, building inspectors, even a district attorney. The web was bigger than anyone imagined. Your sister was brave, Torres said during one visit. She documented everything perfectly. This case wouldn't exist without her work. Sarah wanted to feel proud, but she just felt scared. On the fourth day, the agent called. They'd raided Marcus Holt's properties. They'd arrested 7 people. They'd found evidence of a criminal network spanning 3 states, but they hadn't found Emily. "We're still looking," the agent said. "We have leads. We'll bring her home." Sarah thanked him. Say, home up. She sat alone in the sterile room and wondered if she'd de-saved her sister or sentenced her to death. That night, her phone rang. 3:21 in the morning, almost the same time as before. She answered, held her breath. "Sarah!" Emily's voice, weak but alive. "I'm okay. They let me go. I'm at a hospital in Seattle. Swedish Medical Center, room 417. Sarah was in her car before Emily finished speaking. She drove through the night. She ran through the hospital corridors. She burst into room 417. Emily was there. Thin, exhausted, bruised, but alive. The sisters held each other and cried. Later, when the doctors left and the agents finished their questions, Emily spoke quietly. "I knew you'd find the box. I knew you'd do the right thing, even if it meant risking me. I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do." Emily shook her head. "Don't apologize. You saved my life." When they realized the evidence was already out, that it was too late to stop it, they had no reason to keep me. I became a liability instead of leverage. Sarah held her sister's hand. "Where did they keep you?" "A house. Somewhere rural. I was blindfolded most of the time, but I could hear wind through trees. Smell pine. It was cold at night. They told me they'd let me go if you destroyed everything. When you didn't, when the raid started, they just drove me to a road and left me there. A trucker found me and brought me here." Sarah stayed by her sister's side as dawn broke through the hospital window. The nightmare was over. The criminals would face justice. Emily was safe, but Sarah would never forget that phone call at 3 in the morning, the sound of her sister's frightened voice. The choice she'd been forced to make, the thin line between courage and catastrophe. Some calls change everything. Some decisions define us, and some mysteries only end when someone is brave enough to search for the truth, no matter the cost.